welcome to another edition of Bleeding Big Blue with DB, and I have a guest spot tonight. I got CGF, sorry, dyslexia. CGF, who's been known on Giants Twitter and been a podcaster for the last couple years. He reached out to me, I reached out to him, vice versa. It was really nice for him to actually reach out. He's like, hey, we should collab every now and then. I'm like, yeah, let's do it when I get back from vacation. I had a nice family vacation last week. And then a lot went down, and I was like, you know what? Everybody's doing the initial 53, and I'm like, let's just wait until we see the cuts and who gets claimed and everything else like that. CGA, what's up, man? How's it been?
What's going on?
I'm excited about tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while. As you said, I've been around Giants Twitter for a couple of years now. I had my own show, the CGF Sports Show, which I'm still kind of doing. Haven't done it for a while, looking at the Giants, how bad they've been over the last year or two. The inspiration to do a show really hasn't been there. Right. But, I'm getting the itch again. The Giants are looking possibly a little better. Get some quarterbacks.
We're gonna talk all about that. This offseason has been one for the memory books. And it started with free agency, it started with obviously then the draft, and then the excitement of training camp. This training camp was completely different. The vibes were a lot higher. I don't know if it's because we got a new shiny toys in the first round. We actually have a veteran quarterback that has won a Super Bowl. We'll get all into that as well. Before we get into it, tell us a little bit about yourself and what have you been doing? And I know you've been doing a lot of fun things recently and in the works. So before we get into Giant Talk, you want to talk about that real quick?
Sure. I have been taking a little bit of a sabbatical from Giants related content. I've been focusing on writing books, actually. Oh. I have a book series I'm currently in the throes of, 7 years in Chicago, Journey of Growth. It's based loosely on my experiences living in Chicago during the early 2010s. A lot of stuff also from when I lived in New Jersey around 2001 during 9/11. So that's currently what my lion's share of my time has been devoted to the last year, working on my books. But other than that, I started out on the Big Blue View message board. That's how I got involved with the New York Giants back in about 07, 08. I was really active on there. And then when Twitter came along, Giants Twitter, I joined Twitter and I did some spaces for a while. I was with the Mage and Murph on the Giants Report for about 6 months. And then I decided to go in my own direction with the CGF Sports Show. A little cup of coffee with the Giants Nation podcast, which I can't claim to be mine anymore because Bobby Skinner has taken the name back. So Right now I'm kind of up, still checking out the Giants, still involved, starting to get back into it. And of course, I'm looking to talk about them. So here I am tonight, and there is a lot to talk about, and I am excited to join you. I appreciate you having me on. I know I reached out to you. I had the itch again to talk about the Giants, and man, there's just so much to talk about.
It's really funny because I went to training camp. I mentioned it in my last video. I went to training camp with a bunch of my friends and my 5-year-old. And this offseason, I took pretty much a couple of videos here and there. And then I'm like, do I really want to do this? And it felt really funny. And my friends asked me because they know how much of a big part of it is of my life of doing it. And I go, yeah, I feel like that veteran that is free agent and that, I don't really want to do training camp. If I get picked up by a team or I hold out and I basically did a Michael Strahan. And then you DM'd me, ironically. I'm like, all right, we could give this a shot. Let's see how a show goes, and if everybody likes it, and more importantly, you and me like it, we could do something down the road. So let's talk about the Giants. That's what we're here to do tonight. Where do you want to lead off? Do you want to talk about any surprises with the 53, or you want to talk about the vibes going into this season? I'll let you lead us in where you want to start off, because there's a lot of positives. For the first time in a couple years, it's just like, all right, there isn't anything looming over our heads of Saquon's going to the Eagles. Yes, of course he's still there. Or I know you liked them. I wasn't the biggest hater, but I wasn't the biggest supporter. Daniel Jones is no longer a quarterback as well. Where do you want to lead us? And I'll take us there.
I can tell you, the thing that makes me feel really good is that for the first time in since Eli retired pretty much, since 2019, I feel like there's not this dark cloud hanging over the Giants. I don't know if you agree with me, but
I
it's
100%
great.
agree.
That's why I'm here, because quite honestly, I got to the point, I don't know about you, I
Yeah.
was so sick of the fan base. I was so sick of the dark clouds over the team. I was like, I'm tired of hearing about medium Pepsis. I'm tired of hearing about John Mara, the turkey memes of John Mara. I mean, I did take part in that. I can't say I did it, but
We all did.
honestly, like where I am right now, I'm excited about the team because I know, and we'll get into this in a little bit about the schedule. I know the schedule is daunting. You look at the first 6 games. The league did not do the Giants any favors, but I'm excited. I'm really excited about this team. I'm really excited about the quarterback room, and I'm really excited about the defense, specifically up front with Abdul Carter coming from Penn State. I am really curious to see how they perform in less than 2 weeks now.
Yeah, it's just under 2 weeks now, and let's talk about the vibes first, because we can get down nitty gritty with the roster and everything like you mentioned. Like, what moment do you think the switch flipped? Where like at some point, like it seemed like it was fun again. The vibes. It's Russell Wilson knowing how to be a leader, and you got Jameis being Jameis, and then unfortunately our boy Tommy DeVito being the 4th-string quarterback, and then Jackson Dart playing near flawlessness for a rookie quarterback, and granted, everything's vanilla. Like, we have been so bad that us wanting just the bare minimum of having someone like a Jackson Dart, like, just to show flashes like that, we haven't had that moment in training camp since Daniel Jones' rookie year. And the numbers were similar. We scored 30 points in all 3 games. Granted, you could take that with a grain of salt, but we were not able to run a functional offense, whether it's Daniel Jones or the offensive line. It could be both, or the play calling. All could be blamed. And this training camp and preseason, it seemed like everything gelled. It wasn't one thing, like, here we go again. He's holding on to the ball, or he's not reading well, unless he made a rookie mistake, or Bo Collins didn't know how to finish out his route, unfortunately, with a couple interceptions for Jameis. But, like, for overall, like, it was nice to have that young infusion between Abdul Carter and his limited amount of snaps where he was getting to the quarterback. He didn't record a sack, which isn't a big deal, but he was getting to the quarterback. Brian Burns looked like Brian Burns that pre-injury last year. And I love Brian Burns because, like, he, even in a lost season, he could have been on IR, like, in November and been done with it, but he continued to play hard, and that's very commendable. That's, for someone that watches every minute of every game, this guy's getting paid, and he could have easily, like, all right, the season's over, we're in the tank, I don't need to show up every week for my team, and that's probably why he's a captain this year. So, yeah, like, what was that, like, light switch moment for you? Sorry for rambling.
No, it's totally fine. And for me, I go back even further because you brought his name up. I'm afraid to say it because it's almost like a bad omen to mention his name.
It's like Harry Potter. He's like Voldemort. Yeah.
It's like screaming out abracadabra. Daniel Jones. Okay, the moment he was cut from the team, that was like the first thing, and then obviously the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. You go fast forward to that point, and the worst thing happened. Eagles won the Super Bowl with Saquon. I felt like the day after that, when the dust settled, and the worst thing that could have possibly happened, I guess, for most of us Giants fans, is the Eagles winning the Super Bowl with Saquon, and our season being a complete disaster. It was like, okay, the paper's clear now. Let's clean off the whiteboard. Let's focus on 2025. Since that moment, I feel like once the ownership determined that they weren't going to get rid of Shane and Dable, and they committed to them for at least another year, I think we were in a position as a fan base where it's like, okay, we're rolling it back with the crew. We're going to go into the draft. We have a good draft pick. We have a good chance of getting a franchise impact player. Let's just see what happens. And honestly, you look at the draft, you look at who the Giants drafted, you get not just Abdul Carter, who a lot of people are saying, and I don't want to play into the hype. I want to see him on the field. Let's give the guy some reps on the field. But if you want to believe what people are saying about him, he's going to come in and he's going to be an impact player for the Giants. And then you look at Jackson Dart, the Giants. One of the things that Joe Shane has been criticized about is that he a lot of times will stand pat, sit still. He's not going to move up to get someone. He got up, he moved up and got Jackson Dart. Right. And for me, I wasn't really sure about whether or not. I mean, I saw Dart play in college. I thought he was a decent player in college. But I didn't really feel like my feel about this draft class, quarterback wise, was that it was a weak quarterback class. I felt that the Giants should have the previous year back with the McCarthys and the Daniels and the Williams. You go down the list and the Nixes. I thought that was the year the Giants should have dipped into the quarterback bucket, but they didn't. They decided to punt it a year. So right now, as a Giants fan, as I guess you could say a casual content creator, whatever you want to call me. I am very excited because I feel like for the first time I did this on my channel a while back. I kind of went through the Giants draft picks since 1998. I feel like this is the first time in years that the Giants may have actually hit a draft completely. And we'll see. But there's a lot of players we can talk about that I feel that could potentially be impact players. So we'll wait and see. But so far, so good.
We didn't talk around. I like Dart as a player coming out of college, and I was 100% okay when we made that move. When we got him, because he wasn't gonna fall to us in the second round. So I was doing those mocks, and I ironically in that one particular mock when I did the 14 Rings podcast, those guys and Mal do a phenomenal job in the whole NFC East thing. They invited me to come on and help Mal with a mock draft. And I ironically had Dart in the second round because he fell to me in that particular modulo. So I technically got the first two picks right. So I indirectly got the first two picks right. And it looks like he has everything that you want in a 2025 quarterback. He can run. He can throw. He can sling it. Is he perfect? No, but he has that moxie where, let's face it, you're a couple years older than me. I'm not going to old shame you, or I'm also in the middle age.
Hey, listen. I know you had a co-host not long ago who was much better looking than me, but I bring the fire, man. What can I say?
Yeah. No, but what I'm saying is, like, we never had this quarterback. I don't know what year you started, but I really started to become a diehard around the year 2000, 99, 2000. So it was like Kerry Collins, Crank Graham, Danny Cannell, all those guys. And then, of course, Eli. But Eli isn't anything like this moxie-wise of, like, attitude and everything else like that. And then, of course, Daniel Jones. So, like, it's like, oh, my God, we have, like, one of these quarterbacks. It's really not Giant-like where it's just, I'm just going to go to the facility and just study all the time. But I'm also going to live life. I'm actually going to enjoy the game of football. And I'm going to let my fans and everybody know that I enjoy football. It's kind of like, I'm not saying to that degree and level, but it kind of feels like a shocky Odell Beckham type of, like, cosmic shift in the organization where it's like, we're following that guy. Or like, holy crap, we're going to go fire and brimstone with this guy, and it's great that we actually kind of pivoted a little bit from the oh shucks type of mentality, which is obviously fine. We've seen it work, and unfortunately we've seen it not work. But it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when he gets called upon, and we already saw that on the last preseason game when he was like, all right, hurry up, I need to get back in the game. Hurry up. We don't see that. We never saw that out of a quarterback. And I think that's going to be refreshing. Hopefully he proves it on the field and continues to grow from that step. But everything that we saw from Jackson Dart this training camp and in the games was obviously enjoyable to see. And it's like, all right, if we can just have Russ play X amount of games, that was going to be my question to you. Because it's going to be an easy grab for clicks or clips and everything else like that. Where would you be okay to see Jackson Dart? Like, are you part of the fan base that's okay to have him sit for a couple weeks or we should just let him start? I think I'm in the mold personally. I'm in the mold to just let him sit, let him cook, because we're going to get into it later, and I hate using it as an excuse, but the first 5 or 6 games is a murderer's row for if a rookie was to be able to find a way to like survive and keep swimming. Honestly, he would have a rookie year like a Jaden Daniels or a Russ or Ben Roethlisberger style, but that. Let's face it, those are like 5 guys out of like a billion quarterbacks in rookie seasons where it's like not realistic. So I'm okay with Russ starting. The one thing I'm scared about with Dart is we're going to press, it's week 3 and we're 3-3 theoretically, and then we're playing the Chargers next week. We're 0-3, we gotta save the season, we gotta save our jobs. Jackson, you're in. Like, can I see that happening? Of course. But, like, that's not a good way to implement someone's career right away, especially for someone that we saw, let's face it, we saw what happened with Daniel Jones in 2019. 2019, he was slinging the ball. He was fearless. Yes, he turned over the ball at a crazy rate, but he was still able to learn, and then Joe Judge took away all his aggressiveness, and then we all saw what happened with injuries and him being scared to be himself. So where would you see, if you were the general manager and the coach of the New York Giants, like, what would be your ideal situation for Jackson Dart for the first month or 2 of the season? Because let's face it, we're going to probably see him towards the end of the year. Like, unless some magical way Russ is having a magical season and we're winning games, and it's just like, holy crap, we can actually be more than just in the hunt graphic in November, you know what I mean? Or like what would you do? What would you do? I think starting Russ is the perfect idea for right now.
Well, I'm going to give you a very long-winded, multifaceted answer. Going back to my experience, I've been watching the Giants since the late 80s. Just give you a little hat tip on my age. I started watching the Giants during Hostetler and Sims, the tail ends of their time with the Giants. So I've gone through the entire gamut of Hostetler, Sims, through the Dave Brown era, the Ken Graham era, going into Kerry Collins, and basically to give you my take on Collins, when he came to the Giants, I didn't expect much from him. He was he came from Carolina. He had some issues there.
Right.
I felt maybe he'll resurrect himself. I didn't expect him to lead the Giants to a Super Bowl. No. And then, of course, we went to Eli, who everyone's darling was Eli. The Giants salivated over him. We saw that Accorsi draft report on him saying basically that he ran like his mother but he was tough as nails. I'm just paraphrasing, but I always laugh when I think of that. And then of course you saw we were spoiled with Eli, the 2 Super Bowls, the 2 times we beat the Patriots when we weren't expected to beat the Patriots. And then we went to Daniel Jones. And I guess this kind of goes into the whole Jackson Dart debate. Should the Giants start him right away? Should they put him on the bench? I'll just use Jones as a cautionary tale. I was advocating to put Jones in there early because I was like, the clock is ticking, 5 years, let's get him on the field. Eli is washed up, he can't throw a deep ball anymore. Lo and behold, week 3, I think it was week 3.
Jones I was at the game.
Yeah.
I actually flew down to Tampa for that game.
I remember watching that game. I was in Illinois at the time. I was in the suburbs watching the game. My son was an infant, and I'm watching the game. It's like Daniel Jones is the second coming of Fran Tarkenton. He's like running around, throwing touchdowns. I was so energized, and I was a heavy proponent of Daniel Jones in the draft process. I thought that he had the tools to be good. And I know a lot of people weren't. In my mind, I'm not going to get into Jones because that's spilled milk, people's nose. But I was excited based on that start. And then, unfortunately, like it happens in the NFL, teams adjust. Teams look at tape. They look at players' weaknesses. And if players can't adapt and learn, they don't grow. And in my mind, with Jones, and I do agree with you with Joe Judge took away his aggressiveness. And by the time Jones got to Judge, he was a different quarterback. He wasn't aggressive anymore. He was tentative. He couldn't, they would just slant the coverage to one side of the field because they knew he couldn't throw the ball to the other side of the field.
I think Garrett got a lot more shit than he deserved, but honestly, it's okay. I'm not going to defend Jason.
But to answer your question, should sit as long as necessary. If he's going to be as good, I look at quarterbacks now a little differently than I used to. Mm-hmm. I look at the skills that they possess, but I also look at the aura, okay? Right. And there is one quarterback that Dart reminds me of. Every time I watch him play, his aura, it is Joe Burrow. The guy has Joe Burrow's aura, okay? And the Giants have not had that I mean, even Eli didn't have that, and Eli was
No, he didn't.
he was Chuck's me, but he was a special guy when it came to the
Oh yeah,
playoffs. I mean,
right.
but the Giants have not ever, I don't think the Giants have ever had a quarterback like Jackson Dart. Now, obviously, we have to see how he plays on the field when he's actually out there in the regular season, but based on what I saw in the preseason, it's definitely a good start, definitely encouraging. But if it was me, I would roll with Wilson as long as possible. And if it comes to a point later in the season and everything is out of the way, meaning which the Giants are like 2-8 or 3-9 or whatever it is, then you bring Dart in and you let him finish out the season, let him get some experience. But right now, based on what's happening, we'll talk about it with the NFC right now. I think the Giants. We'll talk about predictions too, but I'm not gonna get ahead of myself. But it's going to be interesting to see because right now I don't know what the hell's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's honestly
yeah, no, like it's a weird situation. In most cases, I'd be screw it. Let's play the quarterback. We only have, like you mentioned, 5 years with him, so it's just really I think for the first time, like I think if the schedule was a little bit different, I would probably be like, all right, let's start him. But I think on how insane this schedule is, it's going to be fun when Russ doesn't like throw the ball in the middle of the field the first time, or he just waits too long, and it's just him, unfortunately, being my age, and it's just like, oh, well, okay, time to put Dart in. That's gonna be I'm dreading to be on Twitter in 2 weeks.
You know it's gonna happen.
No, exactly, and it happened. It happened on the first drive of preseason in the Bills game. Like, okay, here we go. This is not fun. And then you put Dart in, and then he scores a 39-yard touchdown, and we're like, oh, all right, here we go again. But I think Russ did enough for this training camp. That 180-yard pass that Bo Collins really set me up. I was actually at the game, as you know, and people that watch my channel, I have a very good friend, Wes, and he also has season tickets, and me and him sat together, and we double high-fived, like as if we were a playoff team in December and we're about to make the playoffs, because we finally saw an explosive play in person. We haven't seen it, and we were in a regular season form. We didn't mess up the high five or anything. I joked about that. Like, we're like, holy crap, we don't see this very often, an 80-yard play, not like since Victor Cruz, basically, or anything like that, or the couple weeks with Tyrod. So that was exciting to see. Abdul Carter, all right, you're the defensive coordinator. You get Dex in the middle. You got Brian Burns. You got Abdul floating around, and you have Kayvon. Who are you double teaming? Who are you like focusing on? Like good luck. Like that's the one thing with Dex was like, we got to find a way to stop the run. If we are able to stop the run and be able to pin our ears back and just go straight to the quarterback, this team could be very special. This defense could be very special, because who are you stopping on a given play? Mm-hmm. The communication team, the NFL teams, they're great offensive lines, the communication's there. But let's face it, with the talent we have, their talent alone, some plays are gonna shine, and we saw that with training camp with Abdul Carter, and when those couple of plays that he actually played, getting to the quarterback, and it's just like, oh my god, like that's why I think Kayvon's going to have a breakout year, because unfortunately he's the weakest link of all four guys. So he's going to be able to be a bully that he's traditionally known to be against lesser talent on the other side of the line, while Dex is getting double teamed, or Abdul Carter gets double teamed up the middle, or Brian Burns is getting that rare double team. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. If I'm definitely staying up at night, and it's going to be if I'm Washington, I'm definitely studying and like trying to figure out how am I going to contain this situation, because let's face it, the first couple weeks, no one's going to know how to adjust to that quickly, and hopefully we find a way to use it to our advantage, like especially 2 games on the road in the division. No one expects us to do anything. That way is going to be the way we can steal a game or 2 or maybe 3. Like, the adjustment period isn't going to be quick enough for all those guys to be focused on. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, who breaks out, like, other than Dex, because obviously Dex is all-world and an all-pro. But out of those 3 guys rushing the quarterback, other than Dex, like, who's going to be the first guy to break out? I guess Brian Burns is already broken out. but he's not broken out. You know what I mean? So like I'm excited to see that. I'm praying that Kayvon, because he's going to be on the team for another 2 years, is ultimately that guy, and of course the other two guys go as advertised. So I'm excited, and I'm a big defensive end because my heyday was the Strahan, Tux, OCs, Kiwis, and even Dave Tallison.
Giants football.
Giants
You go
football.
back.
We're going. That's another thing.
That's the thing.
That's the other thing. We actually have an identity, and it's our own identity that got us to the heights that we were at. So I think that's the other thing that gets me excited.
No, it's great, man. It's I like I said, Giants football. My biggest concern, I'll be honest with you, is Shane Bowen.
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly, the talent is there.
Yeah.
The scheme is a little concerning to me. I'm not sold on Bowen. Bowen has a lot to prove to me this year. I've complained about Bowen. I wasn't very happy when they got him. I liked Wink. I was a Wink. I guess you could say a Wink or whatever. I liked him a lot. I like aggression. I like blitzes. But this defense is not really structured that way. It's more of you're going to get pressure from the front four, and as you said, we have the guys to do it. Now, hopefully, it works, and it should. Like you said, who are you going to double team? Who are you going to double team? If those four players can stay healthy, it's going to cause a lot of matchup nightmares for different teams.
And we spent a lot of money in the backfield. I mean, in the backfield with the DBs, so hopefully that second corner between Banks and Flott, whoever gets the matchup that given week, because I think they're going to be going weekly. Let's face it. Neither of them have had that stranglehold on the starting spot to be like that starter every week yet so far. Hopefully one of them does. But if we can get that pass rush and Paulson Adebo, Holland, and hopefully Newbin has a good second year, because let's face it, he was solid, but we couldn't create any sort of turnover or anything of like positive other than Dex getting 9 sacks, and he would have had over 10 sacks, and that would have been impressive for a nose guard to do. So
yeah, Newbin was the guy last year that I was a little disappointed in, because back at Minnesota, he was a guy who was a ball hawk. Yeah. He got a lot of interceptions and didn't really see that. So I'm hoping this year, and he's growing, second year in the league, has a little more second year in the system. Hopefully he will take up those numbers. And obviously the Giants did invest in the secondary, which I'm happy about. But Deonte Banks is a player I have an eye on. I am hoping that he plays like his draft number, and that's something that he has not done. And, and the Giants have just, since Corey Webster, since those days back in the late thousands, they just have not been able to draft cornerbacks. We could talk about DeAndre Baker, you could talk about Eli Apple, go down the list. It's been a disaster. It's been a car wreck. So hopefully Deontay gets his head around and he can knock the balls down, because I tell you, if he could play well at quarterback 2 behind Adebo, I mean, I'd feel really confident about this defense. So we'll have to see what happens.
I would too. If there was one player, not a big name player, but a player that would be like, I'm going to be excited to watch this guy, who would it be on offense or defense? And you can give me one on each side. That's perfectly fine.
Well, there's 2 that come to mind. Marcus Mibo, if that's the way you he's really impressive in camp. Yeah. The Giants, as bad as they've had drafting cornerbacks, tackles has been another hit and miss situation for them over the years. So it looks like perhaps they finally got a diamond in the rough. I think he was drafted in the 5th round. So he's a guy. He's a guy that I'm excited to watch. And I'm also curious to see how the tight ends do, especially Theo Johnson, because Theo Johnson was a guy out of Penn State the Giants drafted. A lot of expectations that he was going to be an impact player. Right. He's had his injury issues, and we'll talk about the position groups probably in a little bit. But one of the things that I'm hoping for from him is that Russell, whoever's the quarterback, can start utilizing him, and they can open up the middle of the field. Because if you can open up the middle of the field, create that threat there, it's going to lead to deep passes to Slayton, deep passes to Neighbors. So hopefully we'll see more from him this year. Those are 2 players of many that I'm curious to see. So we'll see.
No, for sure. And we'll lead into the Embo. He's obviously not going to be starting at left tackle right away, But the concerning thing is our all-pro tackle, Andrew Thomas, still slowly progressing from his foot injury last season. And ever since the contract in the first game of 2 seasons ago, after that contract extension, he's unfortunately been very banged up and not able to be that all-pro that we paid him to hopefully be. And then today on Thursday, he met the media, and it was very discouraging, even though it's all part of the plan, where it's just like we're going to bring him back slowly. And unfortunately, us being impatient and knowing how important he is to the whole scheme of the offense and the season, a lot of people are upset. Hopefully he gets back as quick as possible. People are trying to push him for next Sunday against Washington. It doesn't look good from everything you read and the body language from him as well, where it's like kind of concerning, but I think they actually did enough this offseason to protect themselves, where in previous years we have to get Justin Pugh off the couch, and then he was not supposed to be left tackle, and then Josh, for whatever reason, they had a fixation of Josh Azudo being that tackle. Then he got hurt that game, and then a guy that we literally signed off the street that week, literally not even like 3 days before that, he's actually starting left tackle on Sunday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills.
I still
like, you
remember
can't even
that.
make that. You can't even make
It up. It's like a Hollywood
You can't even make it up. You're like, what? Wait, what? And then you had to put it with a grain of salt. Like, he literally just came back to the team 2 days ago, and he's playing left tackle. He's actually not playing bad for all things considering. Is it good? Absolutely not. But he's a breathing body. That's how we approached that game, and it was just insane. You can't even make it up.
It's been the Giants' misery for years, unfortunately. Situations like that.
I'm going to try to not be antsy about it, but I think the approach of what the Giants are doing, unfortunately, is the right way to do it. I think he also knows his body, and we need him to play in that all-pro levels until he's ready. And hopefully he doesn't, baby it more, I guess would be the best way of saying it cleanly, would be the best way of putting it. I don't think so, but it's starting to be concerning that this whole training camp and this whole offseason was, oh, don't worry, he's going to be ready. He's going to be ready. He's going to be ready. And it's very Met-like, and it's like, nope, he's not ready. So this
has happened before with the Giants. They like to embellish the injuries. This is something that has happened the last couple of years, and they did with Daniel Jones. You remember? his neck, and then his knee, and then his leg. It's just
the whole Daniel Jones thing was insane. He has a broken back. No, he's okay. Oh no, that was Andrew Evan Neal.
Yeah.
Evan Neal. How do you not know that he has a broken foot? Of course he's gonna suck.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
So with the tough schedule, the Giants have on the sports books currently at 5.5. As much as we have the good vibes, obviously we still have to prove it. And the schedule, which is overrated to a degree, because up until we see what happens in this upcoming season, that's the only thing we get to talk about. So if you're a gambling person, I'm not sure you are or not, but I don't like to do over-under, especially for my teams, unless they're really good. So I don't want to short the Giants like last year, where I was 6 wins, and I'm like, oh, I don't see that happening, but I would love to. But this year is no different. Do you think we find a way to 6 wins and people win their money for the over?
I want to tell you something. There's been years where I was super, super optimistic, maybe a little bit too much so. A couple of years ago with the Giants after they made the playoffs. The next year I thought they were going to make a jump, and they fell flat on their face.
Right.
This year, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. Yeah. It's the first time in a long time I can see it going either way. I can see them having another terrible 3 to 4 win season. Then I can see them surprising everyone, winning 10, 11 games. Now, the only thing I will say, a couple things I will say about the schedule. Schedule is brutal, obviously. You open up against Washington, Dallas on the road, and then you open up Monday night against the Chiefs, which is
Sunday night. It's gonna be nuts.
Yeah, I think Sunday night. So,
I hate going to primetime games, but we never get to see Patrick Mahomes in person.
Yeah.
So the last time they came here was his rookie year, so it was Alex Smith. So I'm like, all right, I gotta suck it up and not go to work the next morning. I already took my PTO day for that. So it's just gotta see him. And then the Chargers are an absolute crapshoot.
Yeah. It depends on what you're going to get. They're going to run the ball heavy because of Harbaugh, most likely. Herbert's a great quarterback. And it's hard for me. The only thing I'll say, if you look at the schedule, there is a quote-unquote soft underbelly towards the end. The last 5 games of the schedule, Giants have a couple of home games. And based on what's going on with Dallas right now, Dallas could have a really down year. They could have a good year. That's another question mark, which we'll get into. But I think if you were going to bet, if you're a betting person, 5.5 over, I think the Giants will get over 5.5. I think they will win at least 6 games. Now the question is how much more than 6 games will they win? Will they just win 6 games, or will they surprise everyone? Because I actually think this team, if it can stay healthy, is better than people think. And I think the NFC isn't as strong as people think it is. There's a lot of teams in transition, a lot of new quarterbacks who are going to have to prove their mettle, prove their worth. And then you have teams that may be slowly on their way down. So, I mean, we can go through each team. I'll spare the time on that, but I'll say right now, I think the Giants are probably at least a 6-win team.
Yeah, and we had our chances the first half of the season last year, like 3 or 4 games. That Washington game, week 2, where they beat us on 6 field goals, and we didn't have our kicker because he got hurt on the first play, and then we had just staring at each other, what are we going to do with Jamie Gillen, and we had to go for 2, and then Neighbors makes that awful drop, even though he was the team that day. And then the Cowboy game at home was a disaster, and then that Bengals game, we had a shot at the Bengals game as well, so those 3 games right there. So after all that, it was just like, ugh, whatever.
Yeah.
Gross. So I guess I'll be positive as well. I think we get over the 6 wins, but don't put a gun to my head. I'm not placing that bet. But
no, it's a tough bet.
For our sanity, I think that's the threshold from being completely miserable to, all right, we knew this season wasn't going to be what we wanted it to be, but it's right exactly where it should be. And then anything over 6 wins, like 7 and 8 range, where if we were to find a way to get 9 or 10, like, I'm in the moon. I'm over the moon. We're going into the playoffs with that record for sure, type of thing, especially a wild card spot. I just want to be in the hunt. For me, having season tickets and just being like watching them weekly, knowing that they're done before October is just the biggest soul-crushing thing about being a fan the last decade, other than 2 seasons. It's like, it's not even October yet, and like in 22, I was like Brian Dable for Halloween, and it was actually funny. It was like, oh, wow, the Giants are actually fun to watch. They're back, type of thing. And it's just like, if I was like Brian Dable like 2 seasons ago or even last season, it would be like in jokingly fashion. So we just need to find a way to be solid physical football team, and what they like to say, smart, tough, and dependable.
Oh God, don't say that, please.
Smart, tough, and dependable, and half the team isn't any of those things. So, where else do you want to go before we wrap things up?
No, I just think if you want to wrap this up and give a quick synopsis of things where they are, I just want to be able to keep my Giants flag up for longer than September. Because last year, I took my Giants, because I live in the Pittsburgh suburbs. Yeah. I'm surrounded by Steelers fans.
You don't have your Yinzer accent.
No, because I'm not from here. I'm from New York, but I've lived in the Midwest.
I know.
Yeah. No, but it's funny because it's this thing here. Everyone's a Steelers fan. I'm a Giants fan. I'm like...
They're that, of course.
Yeah. And I want to keep my flag out at least until Thanksgiving this year. I don't want to have to take it down and put up a Rangers flag like I did last year, because I was like, I'm too ashamed to fly this damn thing here because they're so bad.
They were a disaster last year as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while, and I'm a Yankees fan too, so don't even get me started.
I'm a Mets fan, so.
Well, I feel for you.
And the Knicks, I'm
a Knicks fan too, man, and
they're our only hope. So yeah, like, my synopsis on the season is tempered expectations. I'm gonna get excited when Abdul Carter flashes or Malik Neighbors flash, and dare I say, if Jackson Dart starts with a fire and just finds a way to get this whole vibe thing, and we could steal a couple games with him, or Russ leads us down a couple of drives after our defense kept us in the game the whole time, I'm gonna be excited. I'm gonna be optimistic. I'm finally going to be optimistic. It's the first time in 3 years where it's just like having season tickets. That opening night against Dallas, the tailgate was immaculate. Like the vibes were right there. Everybody's excited. This might be a chance we can great off season. We won a playoff game. Unfortunately, we lost to the Eagles the following week, but we had no business beating them type of thing. Where it was just one of those things. It was just like the second the game started, the air went out of the whole season, as we all know, and that started a 2-year tailspin. And for the first time in the Dable era, granted because of injuries for Jones in a couple years, but they actually played their guys in preseason games and realizing that they actually have to start fast. Mm-hmm. And that would be their biggest bugaboo. Even granted, they started off great in 2022, but they were still very sluggish and slow, and they were able to find ways to pull out games. And I still believe in Dable. We know Dable is a very good offensive-minded coach, and with Kafka being the offensive coordinator again, I like that they're going to be able to adjust their game plans to what it was like in 22 of like, oh, okay, well, they're doing this tonight. All right, let's switch it up and find a way to pull it out in the second half. And that's how we were so good in 22. Mm-hmm. And we've had our moments in 23 with Tyrod, and we had our moments with Tommy Cutlets where it didn't matter the caliber of the quarterback. We were able to game plan around it and protect them for that, mm-hmm. and be able to survive. So that's where I'm looking for Dable to be that offensive guru, and hopefully us being not 32nd on offense, more of 25 to 27. We're doing cartwheels because it's like, oh my God, we have some sort of a respectable offense. It's still not great. We're not the 99 Colts or whatever high-powered offense you want to say, but I just want to see the trajectory just go up each week. And if they're here next season, great. That means we did something well. Yeah. If not, here we go again. So it's all about the trajectory of the team this year. Let's see them being actually watchable.
30 points a game, is that too much to ask for?
Oh my God, if we're doing 30 points a game, like, I'll be happy with 25.
I'll take 21, but 30
Yeah, 21. Anywhere from 25 to 21, I'm doing cartwheels. That's like how bad it was. Like, the fact if we scored any touchdown last couple of years was a miracle. Anything, but we're anywhere, but we're looking up. So I want to be able to be in group chats again with other fans in our division. And be
for sure.
The season rolls on, but I really appreciate you hopping on with me, talk Big Blue for the good chunk of tonight. I really appreciate it. Enjoy your college football. John, where can we find you? And thanks for coming on.
No, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. This was fun. Hopefully we can do this again really soon. You can find me on Twitter X, CGF_sports, or on YouTube, CGF Sports. I will be posting this as a simulcast in a couple of days. I do have old content from the last couple of years. If you guys want to go back, see some of my rants when the Giants were really terrible, I have a couple of really good ones, especially with Dayball, where I say some things I probably can't repeat on this channel, but it was a lot of fun going through the dark days, the doldrums. But quite honestly, Dan, thanks for having me. I hope we can do this much more often.
Thanks for reaching out. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Be sure to like and follow both of our channels. Obviously on Bleeding Big Blue with DB, and of course CGF's page as well. Thanks as always. Hope to talk to you guys soon. As always, let's go Giants. Let's bleed blue. Good night, guys.